Welcome back to the channel, guys. WGR Garage here, and on today's episode, it's not about the tracker. Finally, it is out of the shop and broke down in the driveway. But since we got an empty garage, hey, we got to get this Rockwell Jeep under construction. So it's about 50% done right now. Still needs a lot of love, a lot of detail, and a lot of fab work. So that is what's on today's agenda, is trying to get this big old Rockwell Jeep in the shop by myself because I'm all alone today, so but stay tuned. Okay, here is the Rockwell Jeep, guys. I took this project on to complete it, at least enough to get it on the trails. It's got a one-link setup, grader ball setup, front and rear. It's on Rockwell's, I think I said that. 5.3 turbo, I want to say it's a 350, and then a 205 divorce case. So yeah, I gotta get this whole thing done and running and driving, and I'm trying to shoot for 1 month. So we'll see how far I can get in that amount of time. But first things first, I gotta somehow spin it around and get it into the shop. So that's what I'm gonna try to do. Oh yeah, and there's the tracker. I blew my power steering fitting, so I kind of made one or jerry-rigged one, and the power steering line blew going down the road. So yeah, that's where it's gonna sit for a couple of days, but it looks cool. Anyways, let's go. All right, guys, where to start? That is the question. So this whole thing is like real tippy. It's just basically a balancing act right now. You can kind of just rock the whole thing really easily. So I think I want to put the cherry picker engine hoist under the front, lift up the front, weld in some temporary supports between the lower wishbone link, or whatever you want to call that thing, the lower link, I guess, to the frame. So we'll do that. That way this thing is nice and secure, so I can crawl under it and not feel like it's gonna fall on me and die. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Okay. Engine's out. Transmission separated. It was only held on with 2 bolts anyways. Why did I do this? All right. So this transmission has a 9-inch tail housing and 9-inch output shaft. And I need more room in between this transmission and the divorced T-case. So there's a 6-inch tail housing or tail shaft or tail cone or whatever you want to call this, and output shaft that you can get. So we have we already got those parts, so we need to drop this transmission off to a buddy of mine, Chalambaga. So Michael Chalambaga is gonna tear this whole transmission apart, make sure everything's 100% in it, swap out the tail housing and the tail shaft, and then we will be good to put this thing back together to the 5.3. So I did notice that it doesn't even have a centering cone in it, or I don't know what you want to call it, centering adapter. So I need to get one of those off of Amazon. And then, yeah, motor, I don't know when the last time this thing ran, but it's got more mud daubers on it than any motor I've ever seen. Look at all these mud dauber things in there. So I sprayed a little PB blaster and the intake valves, and probably do the exhaust too, and see what happens with that. Next thing, these motor mounts are trash. I hate them. I can't even get this bolt out. I can do it now, but it was jammed in between the plate and whatever that thing is. And the whole motor and transmission have to come forward about 3 inches. So I will be cutting all these off and reinstalling something better suited for us. So, and then lastly, I don't see a single cross member in this entire frame, so it's going to be one flexi frame if I don't start adding a little bit of cross members in. So I might do engine mounts plus cross member plus like a rock shield thing or whatever you want to call it, or like oil pan skid, just to make sure that everything's 100%. So other than that, we need to fabricate a new transmission mount once it's all back in and back together. So just new motor mounts, new transmission mount, and then we're cooking with some fire. So is that what it is? Cooking with fire, cooking with oil, cooking with gasoline, all of that. We're gonna be cooking something. So yes, that is where I'm at. So get this transmission dropped off. I think that's pretty much all I can do until I get the transmission back. He said it'd be a couple day turnaround, so I might start cutting up the rear axle. The rear axle needs to be cut apart. The pinion angle's not good enough for me. We'll cut out the whole rear axle next, I believe. And then, yeah, so weld everything back together once it's correct. And then we can start finish welding a lot of this stuff and adding some gussets and some reinforcements and plating. And this is what a 1-link is. So this is the Uniball. This used to be called a 360 joint. It was a company, I think they're out of Canada, created a 360 joint that uses a clamp, almost like a ball and clamp system. And it's a 2 5/16, I think, ball is what it is. So big ball in there, and it just clamps that ball in, and that's basically what your suspension is. But I just don't like how it's all in one point. Normally I have it, I build a skid plate underneath here, and I do, one joint over here and one joint over there, and this is set up differently. But is it gonna work? Yeah, it's gonna work, but it just needs to be stupid gusseted. Like this is, if this piece fails or fatigues, you'll lose like the whole Jeep. I mean, literally everything's gonna fall out from underneath it. So I'm gonna overkill, over weld, over gusset, over support this middle piece. Might look a little weird, but I promise you it will not break. So anyways, that's where we're at. Yeah, we'll keep it on. Alrighty, new day in the shop, guys. Transmission is off the ground and in the Jeep right now. It needs to get sent off to get that tail shaft swapped out. Next is really gonna be fab work. So these are the original motor mounts, not original, but these were the motor mounts that were on it. When I got the Jeep, just cut them off last night. These need to be cleaned up, cleaned up, cleaned up. We ordered new motor mounts, DOM sleeve with bushings through Rough Stuff Specialties. I really like their DOM sleeves, just makes everything really easy. So got that to work on. That's the old transmission mount. That needs to be cut off and removed, and I'll build a new one. And the reason why is because we're moving the transmission towards the front about 4 inches. So that no longer is going to help us. So we might copy it and just make a bigger one. I don't mind it, but it also doesn't seem very strong. So I'll figure out something. So that needs to get cut off. Then maybe we'll go onto the back of this thing and just to double check, make sure this pinion angle isn't too low. It looks like it's angled down right now, but that's also because the suspension is squatting. So all of this is squatting together, or it's at, its lowest point. That's what that's gonna look like when it's at its lowest point. So we need to possibly lift up the body of the Jeep and see if that pinion angle corrects itself. And then if it does, we're good to go. If it doesn't, we need to cut off the links from the axle and then re-weld everything back on with a little bit more pinion angle. So that chunk also needs to be pulled and spun and then put back in. You can spin these chunks 180 and it just doesn't utilize like 2 of the holes, 2 of the 15 bolts or whatever that hold it on. So not a big deal. I have that on my Rockwell rig and it works just fine. So yeah, that is what needs to get done. That is what we're about to do. So, yep, let's go. Sweet, so finally got the fuel cell in. Sorry, Michael, but I put the bolt really close to the tank, so I can't put a socket on the top side, and it was very tricky tightening down those back there. But finally got them done, all mounted in. Fuel cell check, done. Okay, so new day in the shop. We have a bunch of work that needs done. I wanted my engine mounts to be here, but they're just not gonna be here in time. And plus, we got Ice Age here in Arkansas. I cannot believe the post office is running around with snow chains on their tires. Oh yeah, that's our Amazon boxes. I'll go grab them from her. So I think they're probably gonna be a little late. But anyways, I got stuff to do. I got the front axle I need to put together. The rear axle needs to put together. I could actually do drive shafts since the transfer case is a divorce transfer case and it's sitting in the Jeep right now. So there's a bunch of stuff I can do. We also got the transmission back from Challenbagas. So huge thanks to Mike and Brooke Challenbaga for knocking out that transmission. That's just another thing that was a big item that I needed to get done to make this Rockwell Jeep complete. So if you like this build, and be sure to like, subscribe, share, and check out all the rest of the videos coming to the channel soon. So thanks.